Inside a pitch-black warehouse, thousands of green spinach leaves sit under towering steel racks. There are no clouds, no soil, and no sudden rainstorms to change their fate. Instead, a tiny plastic probe pressed near a leaf stem takes a reading every few seconds. It measures tiny drops of moisture that escape into the air. This quiet room does not rely on seasonal rain or outdoor light. The system reads the plant's skin to decide what happens next. Above the rows of green shoots, red and blue lights shine down from long metal tracks. These are specialized LED arrays that shine without generating damaging heat. Optical sensors scan the color of each leaf, searching for faint yellow spots that human eyes would miss. The software processes these light measurements to judge how fast the plants build energy. Every color change tells a story about crop health, long before a human worker could spot a problem. For thousands of years, traditional growers depended on simple human intuition to decide when to water their crops. A farmer touched the dirt, looked at the morning sun, and made a guess based on experience. In modern vertical farms, that old human gut feeling is completely removed. A sensor-to-actuator feedback loop replaces human decision-making with cold, hard data. If a single plant breathes out less vapor than expected, the room responds immediately. When thousands of plants are stacked 30 feet high inside an airtight building, humidity builds up fast. Without precise control, stagnant air creates mold that can destroy an entire harvest in 2 days. Airflow sensors mounted along the walls continuously track wind speed and dampness between the narrow trays. If air stops moving through a single rack, water droplets collect on the leaves and choke off natural plant growth. Early attempts at indoor growing failed because human operators could not keep up with fast room changes. Adjusting fans and lamps by hand meant growers were always reacting too late. The breakthrough came when engineers brought industrial factory tools into high-tech agriculture. At the center of this change is the programmable logic controller. This heavy-duty computing box collects signals from thousands of sensors every second and makes instant automated choices. Once the controller processes the environmental data, it sends commands down to automated nutrient delivery systems. Thin plastic tubes run directly to the roots of every plant, floating in rich water. Instead of dumping fixed amounts of fertilizer on a set schedule, valves open and close based on real-time pH and mineral sensors. The crops receive the exact mix of minerals they need for that specific hour of growth. Root health is where many early indoor growing projects failed without warning. When roots sit in liquid, oxygen levels can drop quickly, suffocating the crop from below. Oxygen sensors placed in the water basins measure gas concentration at all times. If oxygen levels fall slightly, the system pumps fresh air bubbles into the liquid before the roots show any sign of stress. The machine fixes the trouble before harm occurs. Light intensity must change as a plant matures from a small seedling into a full crop ready for harvest. Young shoots burn under full brightness, while older plants stall if light is too dim. Light sensors sitting on top of the grow trays record total energy exposure throughout the day. The control software adjusts the LED spectrum intensity to match the exact stage of life, shifting light wavelengths as needed. Traditional farming fights against unpredictable outdoor weather, sudden heat waves, and long droughts. Vertical farming shifts the fight to power grids and computer reliability. If a sensor fails or sends bad numbers, the automated systems might flood a tray or turn off lights at the wrong time. Redundant backup sensors are installed next to every primary probe to check data before the central computer acts. The machines constantly double-check each other. These high-tech facilities operate right in the middle of dense cities, far from open countryside. By building upwards inside old industrial warehouses, food grows just miles from store shelves. Transport times drop from weeks to hours, cutting down fuel use and food waste. Operating inside a city means water and power must be managed with absolute precision to keep operational costs from rising out of control. Carbon dioxide is essential for crop growth, but levels drop rapidly in sealed spaces as leaves soak it up. Gas sensors stationed at different heights track carbon dioxide levels across the entire room. When levels drop below target thresholds, fast valves inject pure gas directly into the ventilation ducts. Crops grow faster than outdoor plants because their air is constantly kept at ideal levels for photosynthesis. Every reading taken by these thousands of electronic probes feeds into a massive digital archive. Software algorithms analyze months of growth history to find patterns that no human eye could ever spot. The system learns how tiny shifts in room temperature or water flow affect the weight and taste of the final harvest. Over time, the software refines its own rules to boost output with less electric power. Thermal cameras mounted on moving ceiling tracks slide silently over the grow beds night and day. These cameras measure leaf temperature rather than air temperature to see how well plants evaporate water. A leaf that grows too warm is a plant under severe stress, closing its pores to save internal moisture. Before visible wilting begins, the thermal imaging system flags the exact square foot that requires mechanical intervention. Closed-loop automation links every single sensor directly to mechanical tools without human interference. When the system detects that a batch of greens has reached peak weight, it alerts automated harvesting tools. Robotic arms gently lift the metal trays and transport them to clean processing zones. Human hands never touch the soil or the leaves during the growing cycle, keeping the facility safe from outside pests. By removing unpredictable weather from the equation, crop yields become completely reliable for grocery buyers. Food sellers sign contracts for fixed amounts of produce delivered every single week of the year. Droughts in agricultural valleys or early winter frosts no longer threaten the supply of fresh salad greens. The precision of industrial automation brings factory predictability to fresh food production for the first time in history. Water conservation is one of the greatest technical achievements of sensor-driven vertical farms. Water evaporated by plant leaves is captured by cooling coils, condensed into liquid, and sent through filtration loops. Quality sensors check the recycled water for bacteria and mineral balance before pumping it back to the plant roots. Over 95% of the water used inside the building is recycled continuous times. Open field agriculture shaped human history for thousands of years, controlling where cities were built and how nations grew. Today, advanced sensor arrays allow agriculture to break free from traditional land requirements and changing seasons. A vertical facility built in a dry desert or an Arctic plain produces the same crop yield as one built on rich farmland. Physical location matters far less than reliable power lines and clean data streams. Changing light spectrums throughout the day alters the natural chemical compounds inside growing leaves. By adjusting the blue and red balance on the LED panels, operators can change leaf crispness, color, and flavor profile. Light sensors confirm that every crop receives the precise light spectrum intensity needed to trigger specific leaf features. Light becomes a mechanical tool to shape the end product without using chemical sprays. Maintaining thousands of delicate electronic probes in a wet, warm warehouse creates serious operational challenges. Constant moisture causes metal connectors to rust, and mineral deposits distort probe readings over time. Operators must run regular calibration routines to keep the central network accurate. A single drifting sensor can cause the system controller to miscalculate nutrient doses, risking localized crop damage if left unchecked. Young seedlings require far higher moisture levels and gentler care than adult crops. Specialized germination trays feature mini sensor arrays embedded in the wet growth foam. These sensors measure moisture right around the tiny seeds to control light misting cycles down to the second. Once strong roots take hold, automated lifters transfer the trays into main production racks, guided entirely by digital growth milestones. High energy consumption remains the central challenge facing commercial vertical farms around the globe. Keeping hundreds of bright lighting panels and climate control fans running all day demands significant electricity. Smart energy sensors monitor local power rates in real time, signaling the programmable logic controller to dim lighting slightly during peak price hours. The automated software balances crop growth schedules with power costs to protect farm profit margins. The modern vertical farm represents a major shift in how human society produces fresh food. Where growers once relied on sky observation and seasonal physical labor, digital wire networks now manage every pulse of crop life. Through real-time sensor loops and precise mechanical feedback, farming becomes a quiet, automated discipline. Inside these steel towers, sensors quietly manage the crops that sustain the modern world.